All right. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. First, want to say all praises to the Most High, Ahaya, Bashim Yeshaya, Wawakadash. I'm Brother Mashah. This is
Brother Shalom.
And I just want to welcome everyone to the memorial blowing of trumpets. And what we're going to teach today is on the blowing of trumpets. And just we're going to talk on some current events, the things that have been going on, which just are giving a heads up to the times that we're in. So again, every year we celebrate the feast of blowing of trumpets. Thank the Most High we have been given the proper days for the feast and can take this time to remember the significance of the past feast. We also understand the significance of the trumpets going forward and how they link to prophecy. Here is a brief lesson we're going to talk about today on a reference to that holy day. So let's start in Leviticus chapter 23. Because I know a lot of folks think about trumpets, and I know a lot of us took band in elementary school, and some of us played trumpet. We're going to see the significance of that instrument amongst Israelites. So we're in the book of Leviticus, chapter 23, verse 23.
All right, we're in the book of Leviticus, chapter 23, verse 23. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, in the 7th month.
So it says, speaking to the children of Israel, saying, in the 7th month. So we're celebrating the Feast of Trumpets today. And most of those who are brand new to this would say, well, Mashah, we're in the 9th month. How is it possible that we're worshiping or celebrating this day on the 7th month? Let's go to Daniel chapter 7, verse 25 quickly. Hold where you are in Leviticus. Let's go to Daniel chapter 7, verse 25. And actually start 23. Matter of fact, start in 21.
Okay. Read the book of Daniel, chapter 7, verse 21. I beheld, and at the same horn made war with the saints, and prevailed against them. Until the Ancient of Days came, and the judgment was given to the saints of the Most High. And at the time came that the saints possessed the kingdom. Verse 23. Mm-hmm. Thus he said, the fourth beast shall be the fourth kingdom upon earth.
So the fourth beast shall be the fourth kingdom on the earth. All right? Keep going.
Which shall be diverse from all kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth.
So it shall be diverse from all kingdoms. So any kingdom that came before, this should be different than all the rest. All right, keep going.
It shall devour the whole earth, and shall tread it down and break it to pieces.
So this kingdom, because I know there's many debates on what this kingdom is, but the characteristics of this kingdom is to devour the entire earth. So there's many kingdoms throughout history that have relegated themselves to certain parts of the world. This kingdom will hold the entire world at bay. It will have it in its grasp. All right, keep going.
And the 10 horns out of this kingdom are the 10 kings that shall arise, and another shall rise after them, and he shall be diverse from the first, and shall subdue 3 kings.
Okay, keep going.
And he shall speak great words against the Most High.
So that's this time with the fourth kingdom, he shall speak great words against the Most High. Blasphemies. Complete opposite to what the Most High has bestowed. What else?
It shall wear out the saints of the Most High.
And shall wear out the saints, the children of Israel, those chosen to speak on the behalf of the Most High. Shall wear them out. Different ways, spiritually, physically, but wear them out. Right? Keep going.
And think to change times and laws.
And think to do what?
And thinks to change times and laws.
And think to change times and laws. And keep going.
And they should be given to his hand until a time and times and dividing a time.
So this fourth beast will change times and laws. Will change what you think of what a day is, what a month is, and when you are in time. Even where your holy days fall. Let's go back to Leviticus chapter 7. Going back to 24. Thinking to change times and laws, this beast. These times will wear out the saints of the Most High. Those who were chosen, those who were called, will be worn out in different ways. Going back to Leviticus.
We in the book of Leviticus, chapter 23, verse 24. Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, in the 7th month.
So changing times and laws. I know we've repeated this many times, but there's new people here, so we want to make sure we're all on one accord. This is the first month that you can start to see what time really is. So I know children and folks that work in offices and work in jobs and look at your clocks and look at Google and use all those days and times and say, according to the world, it's the 9th month. However, they've chosen to name the 9th month after a different number than 9. So let's go into September, the month we're in. The term sept means 7. If you read that in Latin or Greek, like the Septuagint, right? So if you're using that frame, they're saying that technically we're naming a 9th month 7. That's confusion. But not confusion to the children of Israel. So if you're using that frame, because that's the first month that's doing that, then why would the next month start with the prefix of 8, which is October? And November? 9. And December? 10. Sept, Oct, Nov, Des. Latin words, Greek words for the numbers 7, 8, 9, and 10. So the world knows we're actually in the 7th month, but they refuse to tell anyone what month they're actually in. Which would then relay, what times are we really in according to scriptures when it's saying they will seek to change times and laws? Because September is a recent advent within the last 2,000 years. Throughout history, it's always been, September is 7. Or the time frame we're in, 7. But for some reason, they felt like they had to shift it 2 months ahead for the reasons of confusion to keep you at bay. So, yes, we are in the 7th month, according to Scripture, or going towards the 7th month, according to Scripture. But all importantly, knowing these times and laws, you know what season you're in as well. This is also beginning of fall. So you have that happening as well. This month, extremely important for our people, one, because we're going to learn about what trumpets actually means, and the preceding days following that we'll talk about and teach about later on as we go throughout this month. What it's actually saying about the 7th month and what we should be doing as a people, internally and also amongst each other. Keep going.
I want to read something real quick. Verse 4. Just go over what you said, the season. We'll read verse 4. These are the feasts of the Lord, even holy convocations, which you shall proclaim in their seasons. You see that? So
in Leviticus.
In Leviticus, so when we celebrate these feast days, you know it falls on a new season.
On a new season.
Feast of first fruits, that starts. Summer, right? Trumpets, where that start? Fall. Passover, where that starts? Spring. See that? If in that season, that's why I said to keep it a Sabbath. That's why you say remember the Sabbath day. You know that that's one of the commandments. You say remember because you know you're in the Most High's time when you keep the Sabbaths. Yep. All right.
And we'll do a lesson on time. We'll do it again because I know we usually do it at the first of the year, but we'll do it again because I know that gets tricky for lots of folks. But imperative. Once you get it down, it's like second nature. And you'll be living actually in two different, like when Christ says, be in the world but not of it, you're in two different worlds. Yeah, the world has their time, but you also know the right time. So when it's saying danger's coming, you don't think he doesn't set up his days upon time when they feel like they need to do things? They have no control of what they do. Only the Most High does. So we're going to talk more about trumpets. Keep going.
In the 7th month, in the first day of the month, you shall have a Sabbath, a memorial of blowing of trumpets, a holy convocation. You should do no servile work therein.
You shall do no servile work therein, okay?
But you shall offer an offering made by fire to the Lord.
But ye shall make an offering made by fire unto the Most High. So every year we had a feast of the blowing of trumpets and blew them to gather the people together. And that's what we're going to read about. This actually is a call to attention. And I know there's a lot of days that's happening in between now and the end of the month as our holy days go. But you also know there are many things that have happened in the world around this time that they will put up as wake up, Israel. We're going to go to Numbers 10. Because there's a day that I see them circling every year as a memorial right around this time. Right around this time. And if we circle back towards the time frame when they did it the first time, about 20 years ago, you'll see that how close it was to trumpets. We're in Numbers 10:1.
Read the book of Numbers, chapter 10, verse 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Make thee 2 trumpets of silver.
Make these 2 trumpets of silver. Now, silver doesn't really get a lot of play, I would say, out here in the world where mostly about gold and diamonds. But silver has an extreme importance within the word. And a lot of us, as we came to the word, have actually figured out some of the benefits that come with silver on top of the value itself, but medically, what can come from it. So the Most High deals with silver. All right? 2 trumpets of silver. Keep going.
Of a whole piece shalt thou make them, that thou mayest use them for the calling of the assembly.
We should do what with them?
Use it for the calling of the assembly.
So today what we did before we actually started any prayer, we blew the horn. The calling of assembly. To come together. So in the 7th month, what we're seeing at the beginning of this feast is a coming together. So as we feast together, and later in the month, we have atonement, which will fast together. And then in tabernacles, we'll be out in the wilderness together. Together. That's 7, that Sabbath of months. Together. As one people. One mind, one heart. One baptism. Keep going.
And for the journey of the camps.
And for the journeying of the camp. So to assemble and also move. And go elsewhere. So the horn, the trumpet, the 2 trumpets, important in the assembly of our people. Keep going.
And when they shall blow with them, all the assembly shall assemble themselves to thee at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation.
So when we blow with them, all those would come from wherever they were in the area, would come to the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. Keep going.
And if they blow with one trumpet, then the princes which are the heads of thousands of Israel shall gather themselves unto thee.
So if they blow but with one trumpet, just the leaders, princes of the heads of Israel would all come together. That meant that was something that had to come down from on high to the leaders and then pass down to the rest. It was something they had to do that was important amongst the leaders with the one trumpet. Keep going.
But verse 5, when you blow the alarm, then the camps that lie on the east part shall go forward.
So when you blow an alarm is almost a frantic blow. It's different than a call horn. When you see folks and you can see many movies where you would have folks in knights in armor or in the Civil War, and when they're going at it, it's a horn that's different than all the rest. Like attention, it's time to move. Time to do something. So an alarm. Blow an alarm, then the camps that lie on the eastward shall go forward. That was a movement form, a horn. Keep going.
Verse 6, when you blow the alarm the second time, then the camps that lie on the south side shall take their journey.
So if that alarm comes a second time, whatever camps, because they situated our camps in those days amongst your tribe. So everyone had a position in the camp where they were. So if there were those in the east parts, they would go and move. Those then at the south would then also move. And they did this in what? In order. Mm-hmm. They were organized. This wasn't a frantic run. It says, makes not haste in the time of trouble. Mm-hmm. This is what they weren't going to do. If you believe in the Most High, how can you fear anything except Him? So even in times of trouble, which are sure to come, which we'll talk about more, we had order. Keep going.
They shall blow the alarm for their journeys. But when the congregation is to be gathered together, you shall blow, but you shall not sound an alarm.
So when you blew to just congregate those, it was just a horn to blow to come together, and everyone understood that. So they obviously had told everybody, listen for that horn, listen for this horn. If you hear these differences, without me yelling, you know what's happening. So that's order in itself. Keep going.
And the sons of Aaron, the priests, shall blow with the trumpets, and they should be to you for orders forever throughout your generations.
These cell phones and everything that we have not going to last forever, but if we're walking around and just carrying things, it doesn't take much to have a horn and somebody with strong lungs to put an APB out for a mile around.
Yeah, like last year at Tabernacles, every time somebody happened, we do blow the horn. Everybody come. One day, it matter where you was at the camp, you heard it. Okay, the horn. It's time to
call
go.
to prayer.
It's called to pray. Yeah.
You didn't have to look at your clock or watch anything. You just knew the horn. Somebody was watching. Somebody was responsibility to keep track.
And the good thing about being out in the wilderness, you don't need a phone or a clock. You see the sun when you see it rise and like when it's as high as people. Okay, you know that's the noonday. You see it start going down. Okay, it start getting dark.
Yep.
So we knew exactly what time it was just looking at the sun moving up and down. We knew what time it was.
Yep. Even when it was cloudy, you still knew the position of the sun just because of the amount of light that was in the sky, no matter what was happening. So you get out there, it seems disorienting, but you actually become free in that sense. You're at the whim of the Father. Completely. Keep going.
All right, verse 9. If you go to war in your land against the enemy that oppresseth you, then you shall blow an alarm with the trumpets, and you shall be remembered before the Lord your power, and you shall be saved from your enemies.
So if you have to go to war in the land, your place of living, and those who oppress you come, and you blew the horn, the Most High remembered that. And there's many battles we won that we were probably outnumbered, surrounded. But he says, remember me. And now you see every other nation doing the same thing. They go to war, they will blow horns. Back in their old days. And they would have that call. So we in the land of our land, he says, when you go to war in your land against the enemy that oppresseth you, then you shall blow an alarm with the trumpets. And then you shall be remembered, and you will be saved from your enemies. Keep going.
Also in the day of your gladness, and in your solemn days, and in the beginnings of your months, you shall blow with the trumpets over your burnt offerings and over the sacrifices of your peace offerings, that they may be to you for a memorial before your power. I am the Lord your power.
I am the Most High. So when we pray out and before we eat, we will blow again to cover. So these things have purposes within the community, all this blowing of the horns. However, today some of us blow the trumpets in commemoration of those ordinances. The trumpets function as a sound to gather people or warn them on the impending war. We are also commanded to warn the people today to gather together as if they were a function of the same purpose as that trumpet. Let's go to Isaiah 58. Because trumpets, again, bring warning. Trumpets assemble together. These are some strange times, I would say. Strange times in the span of us being alive for our 30 to 40 to 50, 20 years, how long we've been here, and just seeing things we just haven't seen before, or nor our parents have seen. So it takes on us to be able to start asking, what is the Most High want of us? So we can function properly in whatever's coming. So we're going to Isaiah 58.
All right, with the book of Isaiah, chapter 58, verse 1. Cry aloud.
Cry aloud.
Spare not.
Spare not.
Lift up thy voice like a trumpet.
Lift up your voice like a what?
Like a trumpet.
Like a trumpet.
And show my people their transgression.
And show my people their transgression. That's something that's on all of us. That as we go out in our daily lives, in the using the wisdom that the Father has given us to be able to usher people over to the Father's side by showing them their transgressions. Now, again, you don't have to whip your Bible out to show them that. You can easily, just in your daily life, how you operate is enough. People are attracted to the power of the Most High. People in general are attracted to power. But if there's something that you're giving off and it's something that's showing in your life that is beneficial, and they say they're not really doing anything different but following the book, why don't I try it too? And they'll definitely do it in secret, not telling you that they're doing it, but start to change because of you. And you don't think the spirit that you walk in with, the Holy Spirit, goes on other people? It sure can. Just like when somebody who has a nasty attitude can bring a whole room down. So spirits work both ways. But cry loud, spare not, lift up that voice like a trumpet. You got to stand for the Most High. And show my people their transgression, the house of Jacob their sins. Let's go to Hosea 8:1. Because we're not going to always have a physical trumpet. But the trumpet is just a mouthpiece, just an instrument to say it's time to gather. It's time to come on one accord. It's time to move as a body. Hosea 8:1.
With the book of Hosea, chapter 8, verse 1. Set the trumpet to thy mouth. He shall come as an eagle against the house of the Lord, because they have transgressed my covenant and trespassed against my law.
So set the trumpet to thy mouth. He shall come as an eagle against the house of the Most High. There's only a few people in this world that have taken the onus to act like eagles. Because they have transgressed my covenant, there's an agreement between the Most High's people, but also agreement with the Gentiles as well. And trespassed against my law. So we are to alert and make distinct sound in the ears of our people so that they know the way to go. That's on us. We're a small body. However, we have access to lots of people. A lot of us do. And it is on us to operate as such so that even if you're not necessarily saying those actions also belie that you are who you are and who you say you are. Because the spirits will test you to say you're not what you say you are. So we got to continue to stay strong in that as well. That distinct sound is the true word of the Father, which is the doctrine of Christ brought forth. That's that sound. Let's go to Hebrews 10. There's many things out there. I'm pretty sure a lot of folks have seen, videos upon videos upon videos of all the crazy stuff that's happening. I've seen, even to the point where I've seen videos and they're saying they're not fake, but it's just so wild, you're just like, I just don't know if it's real, where they hear trumpets in the sky.
Yeah.
And this is all over the world. And these are people that have no reason to lie, like police officers, I guess. Or military men. People that you would think that would be upstanding, right? They don't have a reason to joke. But yeah, all throughout the world, no matter if it's in America or Israel or Africa, they're hearing trumpets in the sky. It's weird, and it sounds like a machine almost. But it's continuous blow, like there's not a breath behind it. But there is definitely horns in the sky going off right now. All over the place. If you haven't seen them, just look up trumpets sound in the sky. There are many videos out there about that now, and it's just started happening. So we're going to Hebrews 10:1. Most High will try to gain his people in any way necessary. If some people can't say, well, I'm not going to listen to a brother blowing it. If a brother's blowing a horn, I don't want to hear that. Well, let me put some horns in the sky. What can you say about this?
What do you say about Israel? Israel seeketh after a sign.
Seeketh after a sign.
We got to see it to believe it.
Yep. And even if he has to use, and he has done it over and over again, if he has to use Gentiles to get you to come, he will do it. Because if that's not the case, we wouldn't be here. So he definitely will use whoever he needs to get his people back in line. Hebrews 10.
All right, in the book of Hebrews, chapter 10, verse 1. For the law having a shadow of good things to come, and not the very image of the things that can never, with those sacrifices, which they offer year by year continually, make the comers thereunto perfect. For then would they not have to cease to be offered, because that the worshippers once purged should have had no more conscience of sins.
So why would they have all these sacrifices from year to year? Because back in the old days, they would sacrifice their lamb or goat and say, you know what? That was good enough. The action. And he said, I have no more conscience of sins, when that wasn't the case. They were just using animals as a ploy to keep sinning over and over again. The Most High saying, I can't, how many lambs can you give me? And you're just using the action for the outwardly. But inside, you're still a hot mess.
Yep. Look what you told Saul. Saul thought he said obedience is better than what?
Sacrifice. Keep going.
But in those sacrifices there is remembrance again made of sins every year. For it is not possible that the blood of bulls and of goats should take away sins.
For it is not possible that the blood of bulls and of goats should take away sins. He had to give that situation to them back then just because that's how bad off they were. Like, we just going to have to give them animals just so they believe that they're going to remove these sins even in their hearts. Because, again, Israel seeketh a sign. They needed objects. They're coming from Egypt, nothing but idols. Nothing but objects all over the place. That's all. They had to use it. If that helped them correct their hearts. But then it got to a point that was long-winded, and that was just a show. So at that point, it was not possible for the blood of bulls and goats to actually wipe those sins away. They needed a savior. Keep going.
Wherefore, when he cometh into the world, he said, sacrifice and offering thou wouldest not, but a body hast thou prepared me.
All right. So even the law of sacrifices, offerings, and trumpets were still foreshadowing a greater event to go down in the earth. The trumpets is being blown so that the people can gather to understand and accept the sacrifice that Christ became for us, all to make it to the kingdom. It is also showed that with the sacrifice will come forth the law, just like it came forth from the temple. Let's take another look at another instance of significance where the horns were being used. We're going to Joshua chapter 6, verse 1. Joshua chapter 6, verse 1. Our people are good at using other things to try to cover sins, instead of looking internally to their hearts and saying, it's really me that I need to fix. We're at Joshua 6, verse 1.
All right, with the book of Joshua, chapter 6, verse 1. Now Jericho was straitly shut up because of the children of Israel. None went out and none came in.
So now Jericho, right, like a fortress city, was straitly shut up because the children of Israel, and none went out and none came in. So this thing was sealed up. All right, keep going.
And the Lord said unto Joshua, see, I have given unto thy hand Jericho, and the king thereof, and the mighty men of valor, and ye shall compass the city, all ye men of war, and go round about the city once. Thus shalt thou do in 6 days.
So they compassed the city once for 6 days. So first day, one time. Second day, one time. Third day, one time. Fourth day, one time. Fifth day, one time. Sixth day, one time. With the men of war. So that shows you they were organized. We had men that did one thing, men that did the other thing, but you also had men of war. So you actually had soldiers. All right, keep going.
And 7 priests shall bear before the ark 7 trumpets of ram's horns, And the 7th day you shall compass the city 7 times, and the priest shall blow with the trumpets.
So the other 6 days they did it one time, but on the 7th day, you have 7 days compassing around with ram's horns and the ark. So if nobody knows what the ark is, if put it in layman's terms, it's a weapon of mass destruction at the slightest term. To the point where other nations can't even behold it or take it because they will fall ill or sick or die.
Yep.
This was meant solely for the children of Israel. All right, keep going.
Verse 5. And it shall come to pass that when they make a long blast with the ram's horn, and when you hear the sound of the trumpet, all the people shall shout with a great shout, and the wall of the city shall fall down flat.
So it shall come to pass when you make that long blast with the ram's horn, and when you hear the sound of the trumpet, all the people shall shout with a great shout. Imagine that. While we're in here singing the choir, all singing together, imagine that feat. But outside, shouting at a wall after you can pass it 7 times. The power of our people all together, along with the Most High in Christ. Being able to bring down a wall. To this day, and I'm sure they're looking for it, the ark, who they many times have said they found.
Was a lie. They can't touch it.
They're not even allowed to go near it.
Yeah. Even I think it's in Maccabees, where he hit it, he couldn't find it. Well, I think Jeremiah hit it.
In the desert.
Find it. In the desert, right. They try to follow the same track he was at.
Which would then belay why they're having all these wars out in the deserts now. While they go in to do war, they actually go into deserts to go find things.
Yep.
And occupy countries for years. Even to this day, they've been in the Middle East since the early 90s and have not left. They are trying to find as many things as they can before the children come back. But they have not succeeded, obviously, because look at the state of affairs for them. Still scrambling. What else?
And the people shall ascend up every man straight before him. And Joshua the son of Nun called the priests and said unto them, Take up the ark of the covenant, and let 7 priests bear 7 trumpets of ram's horns before the ark of the Lord. And he said unto the people, Pass on, and compass the city, and let him that is armed pass on before the ark of the Lord. And it came to pass, when Joshua had spoken unto the people, that the 7 priests bearing the 7 trumpets of ram's horns passed on before the Lord, and blew with the trumpets, and the ark of the covenant of the Lord followed them. And the armed men went before the priests that blew with the trumpets, and the reward came after the ark, the priests going on and blowing with the trumpets. And Joshua had commanded the people, saying, You shall not shout, nor make any noise with your voice, neither shall any word proceed out of your mouth until the day I bid you shout. Then shall you shout.
So they were organized. They said, look, Joshua said, you won't shout with your voice until it's commanded to shout. So they were organized in what what was happening from the Most High. Keep going.
So the ark of the Lord compassed the city, going about it once, and they came into the camp and lodged in the camp. And Joshua rose early in the morning, and the priests took up the ark of the Lord. And 7 priests bearing 7 trumpets of ram's horns before the ark of the Lord went on continually, and blew with the trumpets, and the armed men went before them. But the reward came after the ark of the Lord, the priests going on and blowing with the trumpets. And the 2nd day they compassed the city once, and they returned to the camp. So they did 6 days. And it came to pass on the 7th day that they rose early about the dawning of the day, and compassed the city after the same manner 7 times. Only on that day they compassed the city 7 times. And it came to pass at the 7th time, when the priests blew with the trumpets, Joshua said to the people, Shout, for the Lord had given you the city.
So when it came to pass at the 7th time, when the priests blew the trumpets, Joshua then commanded the people to shout, for the Most High has given you the city. So the plan all along was to get into the city without one blow with their arms, a spear, anything. All right, keep going.
And the city shall be accursed, even it, and at that time, and all that are therein to the Lord. Only Rahab the harlot shall live, she and all that are with her in the house, because she hid the messengers that were sent.
Just to let you know, so beforehand, before going into this, before passing this city, that Rahab was contacted or found with the messengers that were sent before the city to go in and search the city out. And out of all the cities, she was the one that took them in. She didn't report them or anything, knowing that it was a message from the Most High, that they were on a mission from the Most High. And because of this, she was spared. Keep going.
And ye in any wise keep yourselves from the accursed thing, lest you make yourselves a curse, when you take of the accursed thing and make the camp of Israel a curse and trouble it.
And you notice that they didn't, when with Rahab, she wasn't just some normal lady. She was the harlot. So the person that everyone would look down on, saying she wouldn't do anything important in her life. She won't have anything good to come about her. But she was the one. The whole time. Least suspect. Keep going.
Verse 19, but all the silver and gold and the vessels of brass and iron are consecrated unto the Lord. They shall come unto the treasury of the Lord. So that the people shouted when the priest blew with the trumpets. And it came to pass when the people heard the sound of the trumpet, and the people shouted with a great shout, that the wall fell down flat, so the people went up into the city, every man straight before him, and they took the city.
So you notice again, just to circle back, they didn't take any accursed things. So any idols, anything to other gods, those things were off limits. But the things of all the silver and gold and vessels of brass and iron, made like a drink, a cup or a vase, it came into the treasury of the Most High. All right, keep going.
And they utterly destroyed all that were in the city, both man and woman, young and old, and ox, and sheep, and ass, with the edge of the sword.
And it looks like the Most High is going pretty hard, taking out entire cities. But when you're talking about in the times where fallen angels and women had happened, and a lot of that bloodline still was around, when you got to clear something out, you got to clear it all. Because if you leave one child, the line continues. So you don't know what necessarily was in there, but when he says clear it out, it's a reason. He's saying clear it all. There's specific reasons why he say clear it all. And a lot of our brother with Saul didn't necessarily heed some of those things.
Nah, yeah.
So when he says something, you do it. For good reason. Keep going.
Verse 22, but Joshua had said unto the two men that had spied out the country, go into the harlot's house and bring out thence the woman and all that she had, and ye swear unto her. And the young men that were spies went in and brought out Rahab and her father and her mother and her brethren and all that she had, and they brought out all her kindred, and left them without the camp of Israel.
So because one sister made this decision, she saved her entire house and all that was with her. So yeah, sisters can play important roles, certainly can. So this situation is significant in the fact that destruction came at the last of the 7 trumpets, and we are to look at the future trumpets, which will and have come to pass as destruction comes upon the earth. And we're about to talk about some. Let's go to Revelations 8:1. Revelations 8:1. The trumpets are for sure blowing. Just like the namesake of our president.
Trumpets. They put them together.
They know what they're doing. They can't help themselves. They're under control of the Most High, and they can't help themselves. Satan himself can't help himself. Because you were here to do a job.
All right, with the book of Revelation, chapter 8, verse 1. And when he had opened the 7th seal, there was silence in heaven about the space of a half an hour. And I saw the 7 angels which stood before the Most High, and to them were given the 7 trumpets.
All right, so the angels, which were 7 in total, had 7 trumpets, which brought forth the impending destruction upon the earth from the spiritual realm. Let's go to Amos 9 and 8. Go in the book of Amos 9 and 8. So he saw 7 angels which stood before the Most High, and to give unto them 7 trumpets.
If you're curious about who those angels are, you can read Enoch chapter 20. It'll tell you who they are specifically, each angel, and what they do. Just in case you want to know, if you're curious.
Huh.
If you want to, Enoch 20, if you want to know who those 7 angels are, it'll tell you who they are, by name, and what they do.
Book of Amos, chapter 9, verse 8.
All right, with the book of Amos, chapter 9, verse 8. Behold, the eyes of the Lord power are upon the sinful kingdom, and I will destroy it from off the face of the earth, saving that I will not destroy the house of Jacob, saith the Lord. For lo, I will command, and I will sift the house of Israel among all nations.
So lo, I will command, and I, the Most High, will sift the house of Israel among the nations. So just like you were born to a family who wouldn't have known this, but for some reason, out of nowhere, you were able to find out who you were, sifting has begun and continues to happen with the younger and younger children. But that sifting has begun amongst the nations, and that's why there's churches all over the place now of Israel, in this body or not, all over the place, learning the same things. In every nation on earth, it begins. So that sifting of the house of Israel among the nation has taken place and will continue. And what else?
Like as corn is sifted in a sieve, you should not the least grain of fall upon the earth. All the sinners of my people shall die by the sword.
So you see this. You could be Israel all day. Kwame Ashala. However, all the sinners of my people shall die by the sword. If you're not meant to continue on past a certain point, he won't have you there. If you're a stumbling block for others, he will not have you there. He will sift out the wheat and tares. Some of us are wheat, some of us are tares. He'll do the sifting. Keep going.
All the sinners of my people shall die by the sword, which say, the evil shall not overtake nor prevent us.
The evil shall not overtake nor prevent us. That's boastful arrogance. That you should be relying on the Most High for protection, not yourselves. Let's go to Zechariah 4 and 9. So he's going to sift out Israel, but also he's going to sift out the sinners of the people and reduce that number to a righteous number. Zechariah 4 and 9.
Read the book of Zechariah chapter 4, verse 9. The hands of Zerubbabel, have laid the foundation of this house. His hands shall also finish it, and thou shalt know that the Lord of hosts has sent me unto you. For who had despised the day of small things?
So who have despised the day of small things? Again, I know a lot of us like to think big, but those little details, important. The day of small things. Let's say the day's going to come like as a thief in the night. There's not going to be a whole bunch of random crazy events happening in front of it to say, oh, this must be the day of the Lord. This is going to be a day you least expect. It might be the most peaceful week you've ever had. Then he comes swiftly. Keep going.
For they shall plummet in the hand of Zerubbabel with those 7. They are the eyes of the Lord, which run to and fro through the whole earth.
So 4th age shall rejoice and shall see the plummet in the hand of Zerubbabel with those 7 angels. They are the eyes of the Lord. The angels. Which run to and fro through the earth. And that's exactly when we were reading about the eyes of the Lord, confirming who those eyes of the Lord are. eyes of the Most High. So there are 7 angels which oversee all the situations of man, with several angels under them. These are called the Most High's eyes, and are in charge of the trumpets which shall bring forth his purposes. Let's go to Revelations 10, verse 7. Trumpets have much importance in these days. Trumpets are just warnings. Alert. Pay attention. Gather.
Yep. Some of us might talk to an angel before.
Never know.
Never know.
You never know when you entertain angels unawares.
Exactly. So you be careful what you say. You might cuss out an angel.
Never know. The one that cuts you off on the road just trying to go there, try to drive somewhere, not tempting you, but you felt somewhere in your heart that you had to yell a curse word at it because they had to get over to the light. Be careful what you say. Be careful what you say. Any action or word you do shall be held against you in the court of law of the Most High. Revelations 10.
In the book of Revelation, chapter 10, verse 7. But in the days of the voice of the 7th angel, which he shall begin to sound, the mystery of the Most High shall be finished, as he had declared to his servants the prophets. And the voice which I heard from the heavens spake unto me again, and said, Go and take the little book which is open in the hand of the angel which standeth upon the sea and upon the earth.
Let's hop to chapter 11, verse 15. So go and take the little book which is open in the hand of the angel which standeth upon the sea and the earth. So he's sitting on the shore, right on the edge. Revelations 11.
Revelation chapter 11, verse 15. And the 7th angel sounded, and there were great voices in heaven, saying, The kingdoms of this world are become the kingdoms of our Lord and of his Christ, and he shall reign forever and ever. And the 24 elders which sat before the Most High on their seats fell upon their faces and worshipped Bahia, saying, We give thee thanks, O Lord powerful, almighty, which art and was and art to come, because thou hast taken thee thy great power and hast reigned.
It's just you can just see how the world is so wicked to take the Most High's word and make it a lie. Because right there you're talking about 24 elders, but they'll put that as marijuana for a day of smoking. 4 and 20. They're just taking numbers that you think that are random and making it a joke.
Yep.
Foolishness all around. The earth's been getting into the hand of the wicked. We're going to Revelation 16. When someone smokes marijuana, they can say they always get a higher learning.
Yeah.
They always say they're connected to the Most High or high spirits.
Okay.
They say when they smoke, they can rap better. They're calmer.
Yep.
Liars. Revelation 16.
Read the book of Revelation chapter 16, verse 17. And the 7th angel poured out his vial into the air, and there came a great voice out of the temple of heaven from the throne, saying, It is done. And there were voices and thunders and lightnings, and there was a great earthquake, such as was not since men were upon the earth.
So there were voices and thunders and lightnings, and there was great earthquake. As such, there has never been since men were upon the earth. So, no man has seen an earthquake like this, whatever this is. So we have something on the way. Keep going.
So mighty an earthquake and so great. And the great city was divided to 3 parts, and the cities of the nations fell.
And you think about, and again, they play on scripture all the time when they always show you the map of the 3 divisions of the United States when the big one comes. How they're going to divide it right there with the Mississippi, and then over there, I think it was close where the Rocky Mountains are. And how they talk about that. And it's not necessarily saying this is what the scripture's talking about, but this is what they'll put out. That great city, because the United States is one big unity. Unified state, city. And they'll show you future plans of the United States where they're all connected as one big city. There's no more Baltimore, D.C., Boston, Philadelphia, New York. It's just one big city. You're looking at it from the sky. And when you see it from the sky, when you ever see pictures from space, you'll see all the lights connecting. You can't tell where the cities separate. They'll tell you it's 5 different cities, but it's really, for them, I-95 makes it one city.
Sure do.
So you have great cities that are going to be divided into 3 parts, right? And cities of the nations to fall. Keep going.
And the great Babylon came in remembrance before Ahiah to give unto her.
These supposed to be the last days, and how can great Babylon come in remembrance if Babylon in spirit wasn't here, or the daughter of her was around? So people will start thinking about the days of that destruction wherever they are in these days in the scriptures. Keep going.
To give unto her the cup of the wine of the fierceness of his wrath. And every island fled away.
And every what?
Island fled away.
Every island. I know a lot of folks thinking about, hey, maybe I can go be safe on the island. May not be the case when you have oceans that can swallow them. And every island, right, fled away, and what?
And the mountains were not found.
Because that's exactly where Gentiles flee when times of trouble. They go to the clefts of the rock. Think that they're safe there. But when the rocks are brought down to the ground, you're just buried under a mountain of rocks. So in all points here, the Most High just saying, you're not safe wherever you go if you're trying to flee from me. Face me. Keep going.
And there fell upon men a great hail out of heaven, every stone about the weight of a talent. And men blasphemed the Most High because of the plague of the hail, for the plague thereof was exceedingly great.
So with these 7 angels will come great destruction. And we are to be aware of those trumpets as they are a sign that a serious spiritual war is soon to come. Let's look at what signs we are at to see in those days when the trumpets are sounding. Let's go to Isaiah 27:13. Hails will be falling from the sky. I know Wisdom of Solomon talks about it. You have Wisdom of Solomon 16. For the ungodly that denied to know thee were scourged by the strength of thine arm. With strange rains, hails, and showers were they persecuted, that they could not avoid, and through fire were they consumed. Mm-hmm. So we are for sure starting to get strange rains. Strange snows. 'Cause I know in wintertime, folks would pull out snow that they couldn't melt. Chicago had that. I remember that.
Yeah.
And I believe it talks about it here.
Did they try to burn with a match? They couldn't burn it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's in Wisdom of Solomon. Yep, you're right. I was right there, too.
He was going on California. California's on fire, literally. Every day.
So, yep. Oh, yeah, verse 22 of that same chapter, Wisdom of Solomon 16. But snow and ice endured the fire, as melting not, that they might know that the fire burning in the hail and sparkling in the rain did destroy the fruits of the enemies. Many things to come. Written throughout the word, not just in the Bible itself, but confirmed throughout other books, that this is to come. This is Wisdom of Solomon 16. I read from verses, that last verse I read was in 22. The first verse I read was in 16. Strange rain, snows, and hails. It'll rain for days here. Mm-hmm. You'll be in one part of the city and can look across the city and just see rain pouring out of like a window in the sky. And it'll be a flood within minutes. Within minutes. I think I was at the store before Shabbat, and I was on the phone with this brother. Yeah. And I'm saying, brother, I'm sitting in the rain right now waiting for them to come out the store. Then I got another call on the other side and said, hey, how you doing? Is it rain over there? The person was less than 5 miles away. Oh, no, it's sunny. I was in a torrential downpour. And it looked like it stretched for miles because you go look in the sky and can't see the end of the clouds. But right where I was, pouring. Then we got all the alerts on the phone that said, hey, floods are coming. Flash flood watch. And that was all up and down the East Coast. It wasn't just Maryland. Yeah, all up and down the East Coast, Carolina. There's a map that shows like every state, almost every state on the continent so far right now, or in North America pretty much, in the United States, has some kind of flood, some kind of flood emergency right now, all at the same time. And we were just in like mass droughts.
Right.
Right? California's in mass droughts. Now they're getting too much water. Strange rains and snows indeed. Isaiah 27.
All right, with the book of Isaiah chapter 27, verse 13. And it shall come to pass in that day that the great trumpet shall be blown.
So it shall come to pass in that day that the great trumpet shall be blown.
And they shall come which were ready to perish in the land of Assyria, and the outcasts in the land of Egypt, and shall worship the Lord in the holy mount at Jerusalem.
So that day the trumpet shall be blown, and everyone's knees will bow. So with the finalization of these trumpets, there will be a great deliverance of the Most High's people that are left upon the earth after the great destruction. So we're going to go into another external book in the Pseudepigraphica. We're going to go into the Apocalypse of Baruch, which starts to attach itself to what you see in Jeremiah and Isaiah. And you have a reference in Isaiah to talk about who Baruch was. Let's get there real quick.
We are Jeremiah 36.
36 and 4, I believe, right?
Yeah, the Jeremiah Baruch was a scribe for Jeremiah. Just in case anybody didn't know. I will start at verse 2. This is Jeremiah chapter 36, verse 2. Take thee a roll of a book and write therein all the words that I have spoken unto thee against Israel and against Judah and against all the nations from the day I spake unto thee from the days of Josiah even unto this day. It may be that the house of Judah will hear all the evil which I purpose to do unto them.
So the house of Judah will hear all the evil that's going to be done, right? Keep going.
That they may return every man from his evil way, that I may forgive their iniquity and their sin.
So this will be a heads up that they will forgive all their evil ways. Keep going.
Then Jeremiah called Baruch.
Then Jeremiah called who?
Baruch. The son of Uriah. And Baruch wrote from the mouth of Jeremiah all the words of the Lord which he has spoken unto him upon a roll of a book.
Right-hand man. Jeremiah's right-hand man who was writing from the mouth of Jeremiah. So Baruch. We're going to the Apocalypse of Baruch. We're going to start, and this is in the Pseudepigraphica. It won't be up there. I'm starting ahead of that. That's 27. We're going to start at 25 to kind of give you some context.
Read the Apocalypse of Baruch, and we're going to start at verse 25. It's chapter 25.
Chapter 25.
Chapter 25, I'm sorry.
So you can write it in. If you have phones, you can find it online.
You can find it online. You can find the PDF online. And he answered and said to me, you two shall be preserved to that time, to that sign which the Most High will work for the inhabitants of the earth in the end of days. This therefore shall be the sign when a stupor shall seize the inhabitants of the earth.
So this should be a sign when a stupor shall seize the inhabitants of the earth. They're going to lose everything in their minds. Be crazy. How many videos have we seen so far of other nations confronting now our people for no good cause? Crazy times ahead with folks who would have decency, common decency to keep distances or respecting of your area, no longer. Now they're overstepping boundaries that you would think that's not normal. So now you have a stupor over what?
Over that will seize the inhabitants of the earth.
Seize the inhabitants of the entire earth. So not just Gentiles, but Israelites themselves will all be acting in the stupor. Keep going.
And they shall fall into many tribulations. And again, they shall fall into great torments.
They shall fall into many tribulations, many torments. So many things that's going to be torture to folks. Like having a whole advertisement for a brother and burning all your clothes that you bought from that place just because he's standing up for equality for his own people. And also to the point where burning clothes that's still on your body.
Right.
That's a stupor if I never seen one.
Yeah.
to the point where you end up in the hospital.
Burn your feet up.
That's where the stupor and hate levels go to. Yeah, stupid.
Why you burn the shoes? You already bought the shoes anyway. Ain't like you went to the store and burned it while in the store. You already bought the shoes, so like you already got the money.
But the foolishness comes in is because then it has nothing to do with the actual brand. This is when it's an attack on a people who have no idea necessarily who they are.
Exactly.
But the spirits inside the people who are attacking them, who are oppressing them, know exactly who they're dealing with. Then now you have the wear out the saints. Scriptures in Daniel 7:25, where they're going to start doing things to get you off the track of what's really important. Keep the Most High's commandments is the whole duty of command, right? But now they have you focused on so many different directions right now. Some of it persecution. But if you were reading the word, you know this is part of the deal. Persecution had to happen. Further showing who the children of Israel are. Keep going.
And it will come to pass when they shall say in their thoughts by reason of their much tribulation, the mighty one doeth not remember the earth. Yes, it will come to pass when they abandon hope, that the time will then awake.
God doesn't exist anymore to these people. How can it be so bad that there's no God that's going to save us? God doesn't exist here. Let's make rules and laws against God. Because we have to obviously govern ourselves. That's what happens once we have this lawless land that's beginning now. It's already been here, but it's starting to go to some new levels. Well, now your children aren't even safe anymore. Even being in school, they aren't safe. Those who were tasked to help you in times of trouble by dialing a 3-digit number, you're not safe from either. Here we are. Keep going.
And I answered and said, with that tribulation which is to be continue a long time, and will that necessity embrace many years? Go ahead. Got it right here. 27, right?
Yep. You got the rest of it?
Yeah, I got it right here, 27.
It.
And he answered and said unto me, unto 12 parts that is that time divided, and each one of them is reserved for that which is appointed for it.
So this stupor time that we have, that time of stupor amongst the world, it's going to be divided into 12 parts. All right, keep going.
In the first part, there should be the beginning of commotions.
So in the first part shall be in the beginning of commotions. Well, as you can see on social media, that's a bunch of that happening. Be it, using the Nike brand or whatever. Just fighting in general. Nobody gets along. Everybody's against everybody, and everybody wants to be in charge. That's definitely a godless society. Keep going.
And the second part, there should be slayings of the great ones.
So in the second part, there shall be slayings of the great ones. The children of Israel, in the word, end up being a lot of these great ones, the ones you see in Wisdom of Solomon 2, not respecting the ancient gray hair of the aged. His firstborn. His people. But those slayings of the great ones began. Be publicized. All over the world, it will be happening the same way. America's not the only place doing this to us. Many other nations do the same and follow suit. They're doing exactly what it said in Psalms 83. Confederate against the hidden ones. Keep going.
Verse 4. And in that third part, the fall of many by death.
Mm-hmm.
And in the fourth part, the sending of the sword. And the fifth part, famine and withholding of rain.
So in the fifth part, famine and the withholding of rain. Keep going.
And the sixth part, earthquakes and terrors.
So we have earthquakes and terrors happening, right? So we have with the terrors or earthquakes or hurricanes or what have you. Volcanoes, wildfires, times of fear. The person that's in charge of this place, this country, fear, 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 fear. Terror, terror, terror. Keep going.
And the eighth part, a multitude of scepters and an attacks of Shittim.
Specters and Shittim. Specters and Shittim. Give me a second here. I know what it is, but does everybody else?
A good example of that, if you watch a movie called Fallen by Denzel Washington, have you ever seen that movie? You see how the demons jumped into how they changed? What's going on? People just doing crazy things.
Specters. So what you would call ghosts, goblins, demons, shit'em, disembodied spirits. What's that in Enoch?
Mm-hmm.
The evil spirits on the earth.
Yep. What they do? They destroy and all that.
Destroy and repress. You get that for me?
That's Enoch 15.
Yep.
We go to the book of Enoch. For anybody that's brand new, don't know about the book of Enoch, you can read it in Hebrews 11:5 until it references the book of Enoch and Jude 1. Jude chapter 1 reference it. So I'm going to read real quick. Enoch chapter 15, we'll start at verse 10.
Yep.
And the spirits of the giants afflict, oppress, destroy, attack, and do battle, and work destruction on the earth and cause trouble. They take no food but nevertheless hunger and thirst, and cause offenses.
Finish that one out.
And these spirits shall rise up against the children of men.
And these spirits shall rise up against the children of men.
And against the women.
And against the women.
Because they proceeded from them.
Because they came from you. This is where the fallen angels and women came together to create giants whose then spirits, once they were taken off the earth, had no place to go. This is the same things that Christ was fighting, or Christ was casting out of people to go into swine. Those things will start rising up. And as deaths happen, more spirits are jumping out of these bodies with no place to go. And will cause you to go into offenses so they have a place they can call home. Mm-hmm. That's why these days and times are important. Because the more you fall off, the easier it is for someone to come to your doorstep and make way in and call itself home. Going back to Baruch.
And how can we cover ourselves through this?
Yep.
Prayer and fasting. Prayer and fasting is so important. So you remember that. All right. And in the ninth part, the fall of fire.
So in the ninth part, the fall of fire. I'm not sure how many people keep track of how many things that are falling out of the sky on a daily basis or a weekly basis or a monthly basis. But you have asteroids or meteors, what they call them, coming out of the sky most often. Guess what? Right now, as we speak, there is supposedly an asteroid going between the Earth and the moon that they just figured out and saw this week, but also could have something accompanying it that could probably fall to the Earth. So there's a threat there. I saw this on Thursday, I believe, and they said in 48 hours, we're going to get a visit from another body in the solar system, which we figured out this week. I said, well, 48 hours is what? Feast of Trumpets. So falling of fire from the sky will start happening. That's happening all over the world right now. Lights flashing over Russia, California. Mm-hmm. Coming out of the sky as asteroids or what they call asteroids, but streaking across the sky, causing night to turn to day. Happening left and right. And what else?
And the 10th part, rapine and much oppression.
Rapine and much oppression. Rapine is a violent seizure of someone's property. So taking property by force. Land by force. And as we look and see how our people are scattered all across the world, and I was talking about this earlier, you see hurricanes going here, storms and destruction going there, and you noticed that a lot of the places that are getting hit right now are places that they took in rapine. Let's take Hawaii, for instance. Children of Israel there, Naphtali, Reuben, on the islands. Right now, there's a hurricane headed directly for that place. Category 5. Mm-hmm. Heading directly for Hawaii. If you don't know geography very well, that's okay. Pacific Ocean is huge. There's a lot of places that this hurricane could have made its way to. But no, it's headed directly for a direct hit for Hawaii. They just missed one, I think, that happened a few weeks ago. Mm-hmm. But on top of that, they're getting what else? Volcanoes. That's still going on. That hasn't stopped. Nobody's talking about it. They just have more things to talk about. So if you forget about it, that's on you. They told you. But that is what? Seized land. Circle back a few years. Puerto Rico, still digging out. Our people's there, right? Ephraim. But it was controlled by other people. That's not their land. It's seized. America. Last year was what? The biggest hurricane season in history, right? Mm-hmm. Apparently, we had more storms than ever before. But our Northern Tribe brothers were here first. And that land was taken from them, the land they did have. Now, and they will tell you there's a time before when they were here, they didn't remember storms coming off the coast. From not just any place the storms are coming from, they're coming from the places we were taken. Directly from the Sahara region, Nigeria, and all the places along that coast. That's where the storms originate. And if you talk to Native Americans, our brothers, they'll tell you, we don't remember these storms until you all came. And there's a storm right now, Florence, right in the middle of the ocean, on its way here, apparently. They don't know where it's going to track, they say. But guess what? Different than most other storms, I've never heard this before. This particular storm has particles from the Sahara Desert mixed in still as it's crossing the ocean. And it's almost here. It's pulling sand. It's pulling land from Africa, physical, putting it in the air, spinning it, and it may actually hit the United States with the land from Africa, particle-wise. You can see it on the actual radar. The way they have radar set up, there's certain radars where you can see if there's more than just air in it around a storm. They were able to pick up the brown sand trailing along the storm. It's just following it. And it's cycling with it. Hasn't went to the ocean or anything. It's just in the sky. But it's going to take that East Coast trek, going through the Caribbean. We're all Benjamite, Levi. Then come up the coast where Judah and the Northern Tribe brothers are. It's just following us. And if someone's done us wrong and taken land or oppressed us in whatever land it is, it came for it. It's coming for it. And I've seen that over and over again. Australia, Reuben, they there having typhoons. Mm-hmm. They call hurricanes typhoons in the Pacific. They're getting storms left and right too. Reuben was all over that continent, but guess who's there now? Colonizers. Stolen land. Being repaid. They don't have, eventually it's not going to be enough money to fix what they have. Eventually the storm's going to take out something permanently. And they'll say, well, they'll leave it to us to say, oh, it's HARP. And give that power to them that they're able to do such things. But the Most High is allowing, the Most High will give anybody up to their own destruction. If they want to do wickedness, I'll let you. And let you think it's you the whole time. So you'll build up all these weapons and all these desires that you have. And what happens when it turns on you and you can't control it anymore? So what they're doing, pride goes before destruction. They're prideful in what they're doing. But it's not going to last for them. So keep everyone in prayer in that one. But repeating a violent seizure of someone's property, I wanted to say that because, people used to have land. Even in the land of Israel, it's in turmoil. To this day, because it's stolen land. To this day. They will never have peace on stolen land. They will never have peace there, no wherever they go. So the Most High will allow them to do whatever they think. But just like Christ said, to the time of the Gentiles is fulfilled.
Even the scripture says, I think it's Isaiah 3, said, when the real Israelites be into the land, there'll be war no more. But let them both war over there. They fight.
Nothing but
How long
war.
they been fighting for years since they've been over there? Since the 40s?
You can't help
Since
it.
they've been there, they've been fighting forever. Since 1948, they've been fighting. Yep, so exactly. So, keep going?
Yep, keep going.
All right, so we will go to verse 11.
Yep.
And in the 10th, okay, we say
Repeating in much oppression.
Much
Yep.
oppression, okay, 12. In the 11th part, wickedness and unchastity.
Mm-hmm.
And the 12th part, confusion from the mingling together of all those things aforesaid.
So the 12th part is going to be a mingling of everything that was forenamed already. It's going to be a mix of all that. So the 12th part, confusion from the mingling together of all those things. They're not going to know how to see through this storm that's coming, through this confusion that's coming. They think it's distractions. But like, just to use a football term, any smart QB knows how to decipher a blitz and strike. So if you don't have the word of the Most High, you will see it as confusion. But if you do have the Most High, you'll throw TDs, throw touchdowns, throw first downs. So we got to be focused in these days. Keep going.
For these parts of that time are reserved and shall be mingled one with another and minister one to another. For some shall leave out some of their own and receive in the stead from others, and some shall complete their own and that of others, so that those who may not understand who are upon the earth in those days that this is the consummation of the times. Nevertheless, whosoever understandeth shall be wise.
All right. So these are the real trumpets that they're signs to look for, as the wise will see them and prepare themselves. We who are wise are to see these things and not fear, but thank the Most High that we can hear the trumpets, even when the rest of the world ignores those signs. Let's go to Matthew 24:4. If you read the rest of that book of the Baruch, Apocalypse of Baruch, it'll speak to that time of craziness and destruction, but also what comes after that. Even some things that you were like, I've read about it once and didn't realize it was real, but they speak to it in a couple of verses and chapters that follow what we just read. So yeah, definitely feel free on your own time to read that. Even speaks about Leviathan and Behemoth.
Mm-hmm.
In the last days.
We're going to eat them in the wilderness.
Mm-hmm. And when they were actually created and what their creation was for. And while we have all these big monster movies coming out with King Kongs and Godzillas. And one Godzilla movie has a dragon with 3 heads.
Yeah, it does.
Lust of the eyes, lust of the flesh, pride of life. 3 heads.
You ready?
Matthew 24.
Okay, read the book of Matthew 24, verse 4. And Yeshua answered and said unto them, take heed that no man deceive you.
So in these days to come, take heed that no man deceive you. If they're following Christ, you heed that. Not following Christ, no parts. So take heed that no man deceive you or change anything from this book here. Keep going.
For many shall come in my name, saying, I am the anointed, and shall deceive many.
We have a lot of brothers refuting nowadays who we are as a people. And this went up to the highest of commanders, Mr. T.D. Jakes, in refuting who we are. So it must have came into your church some way. We don't apologize. The Most High will be done. And everything that's been built to destroy our people will be brought down. Keep going.
And you shall hear wars and rumors of wars. See that you be not troubled, for all these days must come to pass, but the end is not yet.
And you shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. Again, these distractions that are out here, people are preparing for a different time. I have seen it from my own eyes. That at least the Gentiles themselves have figured out there's something off and are changing and are starting to get themselves ready for a different time. I'm pretty sure a lot of us in our jobs have seen that as well. how they're changing structures. And if you're a person who's just a worker and you're not using the scriptures or having wisdom or the Holy Spirit there with you, you won't understand what they're necessarily doing. But you start to see the advent of AI and and having self-checkout places. They're expecting people to not be around eventually. They're expecting it not to be any folks around, especially for some of these smaller jobs. But they're expecting as a whole, eventually, they're going to have to do everything automated because there's not going to be anybody left. Be it folks figure out who they are and says, I'm not doing this anymore, or there's some kind of mass death. Either way, they're preparing for the inevitable. So you should hear wars and rumors of wars. A case in point, one of the many videos were out there of people burning their Nikes. Hilarious again. But one guy was so fed up, and I think people lost. It was lost in like the laughter that folks were laughing at the whole Nike burning thing. What he did say out of this is that I cannot wait till this war starts. He did not specify which war it was. But if you're burning your Nike shoes over an Israelite's face in the news, I've only think of one war you could be talking about. A war they've had in mind for a long time, and they've been preparing for it. They certainly are. So just saying that that's out there for folks. They're for sure thinking in that mindset. And they're getting riled up. And so are we. Right? They're riling up our people too. So we're not going to go in that guise as people of the Most High. But they're for sure sizing it up to cause a strife among the nations. So you shall hear wars and rumors of wars. And what else?
For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom.
So see you be not troubled, for all things may come to pass. But then it's not yet. For nation shall rise against nation. So what they call a race war, a war of people or families, they said it's going to happen. They said it's going to be that kind of fight. For the color of skin or where you from, that's coming. For nation shall rise against nation and what?
A kingdom against kingdom.
All right, so countries against countries or money against money.
And there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places.
So you're going to get famines or a lack of food or a lack of substance or even ability to, even if you're eating a lot of food, that is actually worth anything. Because you have all this food out here, but it's nothing but chemicals if you read the back of it that don't exist in nature. So while you're eating a bag of Oreos, you're eating nothing in that bag of Oreos. While you're eating meat, that's probably been dead for months, and they won't tell you. They'll kill it and just freeze it and keep it frozen forever. So when you eat it, you can't tell the difference, but then you go and get organic food that's never been frozen, and you eat that same meat, and you realize how tender it is, like somebody just killed a cow yesterday, or a goat yesterday, or a lamb yesterday. You'll feel the difference between heavy meat, which has been dead for a long time. They call it dead weight, that dead body weight. When somebody passes away, they might weigh 120 pounds, but they may weigh 125 now because they passed away and everything sunk. Death is all around. But famines, food. Don't let them fool you with your eyes and say that it's food everywhere. It's not. And I know how to keep building things over and over again. They keep building new places. I mean, I can't go like anywhere without a new shopping center popping up. I can go right down the street and realize that I know this area is one of those areas that don't have certain places, but I saw a store that generally doesn't have food for our people being built right down the street. Chipotle. That only happens when they're starting to change and try to keep people comfortable in certain places and frozen. That's why they're building all these new houses and people aren't really moving into them. But they'll make you look at it and think that somebody's in there. Somebody could be just renting. Everybody could be just renting all those and leasing them out. But it makes it seem like for something you have to stick around for. New stores, jobs are being plentiful now. See, you put the jobs back, right? Jobs back. Putting African Americans to work keeps you still. Because if you're working, you can't think, can't talk to him. Trying to busy you.
Yep.
And it's happening everywhere. on every level, every education level, was getting the same thing. Widening the highways. For more cars? Because I've seen planes land on highways before when they're wide enough. I've seen tanks go down ramps when they're wide enough. They're preparing for something different than what you think they're preparing for.
Yep.
By making things pretty, even in times when the Romans would come, they would come and could pass the city, they would wait you out for months and years before they attack. And you will still have life as normal. Things will be good. They'll bring themselves in, maybe change a little bit of laws, but you know what? They'll bring the Roman money and bring the Roman stores, and you'll start buying all that stuff, and like, oh, you know what? Things are getting better. But you got to know they've been doing this for a long time. And through history, you see the same thing over and over again for our people. We get comfortable right before destruction comes.
That's what happened in 70 A.D.
70 A.D. In Egypt, a lot of folks didn't want to leave.
Yep.
It was a land of plenty. That was in its heyday. Who wants to go out in the wilderness and live like a peasant? They were saying, we're regal people. We don't have to live out there. I'm sure that may come. When they say, hey, pick up all your stuff. We got to go. Oh, I got this job. My children in school. I got this money. You really think that when the time comes, will you be able to pick up and go and just leave it all behind? I know Lot's wife had a lot of connections to the city before she left. And as they walked, hearts were being tugged the whole time. Family that got left. My friends that are still there. All those thoughts in her mind. To go against the command of the Most High, to not look back. And she did. Became a pillar of salt. So as we see these times, these famines, these pestilences, these earthquakes, diverse places, know what time frame you in. What else?
All these are the beginning of sorrows.
All these are the beginning of sorrows. What else?
Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted and shall kill you.
Now they should deliver you up to be afflicted. Now you can't go into a Walmart parking lot with expired tags without getting a police call on you by someone who felt it was their job to look at your tags and call it because they were expired. And then sit their car in front of your car so you can't move until the police came.
Yep.
Knowing that if you operate a certain way, that could be the last day you see Earth. Then what? Many shall what?
Many shall deliver you up to be afflicted and shall kill you, and you should be hated of all nations for my name's sake.
You shall be hated from all nations. Why can't they just operate like the rest of us? Why can't they just go to school and be happy? They'll tell your children in school, slavery, y'all have a better life because y'all came here.
Now they put the books in indentured service now. Now
you're in indentured service. You were paid.
Yep.
You wanted to come. That's why you're here. You wanted to come. You said, yes, I'd like to go to America. Put me in that ship. In the bottom. And yes, shackle me. That's fine. And I'm going to get there. And I'm going to work off my time for 400 years. That's what you said. This is the history that's being brought down in schools now.
Yep. This is a true story that they put in the book.
And this is not to say pull your children out of school, nothing like that. Because what you should be doing is training your child up as what they should do and the way they should go. So while they still go to school and do all these things in the world, just like yourselves, they should be able to know what the truth is and what a lie and know how to shake their head like, I hear you. Give me my A so I can keep on going to the next grade. But that's where we at.
I can hear our children now. That's not in the Bible. Deuteronomy 28 says this. I don't know where you get that from. I can hear them now.
God. But they should deliver you up to be afflicted and shall kill you, and ye shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. And they're not playing. I'm telling you, they are really trying to stoke the nations against us. They put a brother on a billboard with an afro. That's the scariest hair that you could possibly have. They're really trying this. But yeah, they will. They are completely getting to complete chaos now. And what else?
And that many shall be offended and shall betray one another and shall hate one another. And many false prophets shall arise and shall deceive many.
And many false prophets shall arise, say, look, I am been called by the Lord to guide you. And guess what? You're not Israel. You're not Israel. Don't take those people's heritage. You're not. I don't know what you are, but you're not them. That's the answer that I've heard before.
When TJ talked to the guy that was Jew, he said, you stand up. He said, I'm as Gentile as hell. That's what he said in the video. He said, I'm a Gentile just like he is. TDJ said that. When you watch the video, he will talk to, it was a Jewish man in the front seat. He told him to stand up. He said, you know what? I'm just as Gentile as he is. We just a different color but the same problem.
Different color with the same problems. Won't bother him, won't lend to him. Ask him how much he paying for that house when America's paying for it and he doesn't have a job anywhere else. Seeing that I make it the same way everybody else is. Not seeing that. Not seeing what they're kind of ship to us and sell to us. But we digress. What else? Many false prophets shall arise and deceive many. There's going to be a lot of that. This dividing of our people has already started. Even amongst Israel themselves. This camp want to have these kind of people. This camp want to have these kind of people. Brother, when they rolling down the street and taking people captive, they don't care what camp you from.
That's true.
You know who you are? Get in the back of this truck. But I'm part of no. Get in the back of this truck.
Get in the back and shut your mouth.
That's why I like things like you voting in America is an act. They're preparing for the day that you say, nah, we're not taking part in this no more. Oh, well, we'll just take your right to vote away. Everything that Martin Luther King stood for and Malcolm X ran for and all these things that all your people, that the heroes that they gave us and push us in in Black History Month. That's what they'll do. They say you're disgracing your past and your heritage. But they won't tell you what your heritage is before you got here.
What killed me is that people, they wrote the Constitution. We was in slavery during that time, so we wasn't a part of it. Never was.
3/5.
If you consider as a monkey, 3/5 a person anyway. So they'll look at you the same as them. You wasn't at the table that wrote the Constitution. You was out back picking cotton. 1776.
You were property.
You were property. So a lot of people act like we need equal rights. Equal rights for what? This is what for you.
Until this day, they treat you the exact same way. So while you're allowed to work, really you're allowed to pay taxes to fund your own jail. While we play football and we start to stand up, you see the problem it's caused. When folks want to stand up and say, well, we don't want to be killed, well, you better get back in line. They don't want to hear that. And that's what you're saying. They're treating these men, and I'm surprised that there's so many men still playing in the NFL as they are. I know a lot of them, not for a fact per se, but you can tell some of them have left for religious reasons, they call it. And you down the line, you find out they figured out what they were. So they go in the NFL, do that little 5 years, get vested, hop out. Say, I'm not doing this. I want to be able to walk. I want to be able to talk. And some of them that have done the research back to Roman times have seen that it's the same gladiators from the NFL times and the same coliseums using the same equipment with the same objects on their helmets. Lions, ravens, all these images they used to have on their shields when they were fighting. Eagles. Yep. Because back then you had to represent your house, and houses had emblems. So all these animals and stuff and birds and names they've had on all these teams they give you, usually the emblem from somewhere over in Europe or somewhere over in Rome, because you had to fight for those houses back then. If anybody's watched Gladiator, the movie, or even Gladiator, the show, or any of those shows like that, they kind of give you a kind of a sneak peek of how things were. Gladiators didn't stop then. You're still gladiators today. You're still there for somebody's amusement. You're still not going to get paid like them, the ones who own you. Owners. That should never even be a name for people who play. on the team. Because they're talking about a team owners. They're really talking about owning people. Because they have their future in their hands. And they write all these little, every year they give them just a little bit more crumbs to keep them hungry. And then when you try to stand up for yourself, they'll throw the money in your face and say, we're paying you. You can't stand up for you. They basically say, you took the money. You took the money and you made an agreement. It is a contract that whatever you stand for don't matter anymore. You stand for what we stand for. So we are here. When people are starting to realize what line and what side we're going to be on when these trumpets are being blown, what side do we take place on? And it's going to get worse. They know. And they're preparing. They're preparing for sure. For all these things that are going to change. Keep going.
Verse 12, and because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold.
And because iniquity, continuing sin, shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. I've never seen in all my days how many, and I guess it's because social media is out here now. You got videos and pictures everywhere, but so many people, something bad happening in the background. You see people minding their business. Somebody is being robbed. This person walking right past. A child's yelling help because somebody's trying to snatch him to a car. Somebody's walking right past. But they'll pay attention to stuff that don't matter. Like you cooking out. You know? Enjoying time, not breaking the law. But let something real bad actually happen. Nah, they're not here for that. At all. Keep on.
Yep. But he that shall endure to the end, the same shall be saved.
But he that endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. Keep going.
And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached into all the world for a witness unto all nations, and then shall the end come.
So this gospel of the kingdom will be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations, all people going to hear this. Nobody's going to have an excuse to say they didn't know. And that's where it comes down to. There's not going to be any excuses when it comes down to it that you did not know better. He'll give you the answers to the test, and if you test poorly, that's your fault. What else?
When ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet, stand in the holy place, whoso readeth, let him understand. Then let them which be in Judea flee into the mountains. Let him which is on the housetop not come down to take anything out of his house. Let him which is in the field return back to take his clothes. And woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days. But pray ye that your flight be not in the winter, leaving on the Sabbath day.
So you see the Most High, how Christ is operating. He's saying, look, if you're in the housetop, or wherever you are, if you're outside of the house and it hits, Most High is going to put you in the right position at the right time. You keep following him. I know folks are going to think, well, what if destruction hits when all my kids are in school? Don't think about that. Think about focusing on him. You know why? Because he's going to put you in the right position at the right time. What if for some reason everybody just so happens to have a sick day that day? Like, why is everybody in the congregation feeling sick? On one particular day, on a random Tuesday or Wednesday. And as you're staying home sitting, whatever they want to do happens. And you know what? You're like, wow, it happened on a day everybody's around. I don't have to go running for anybody. Where everybody's out there running, destruction's going. We say how important the 7th month is. Trumpets, warning, alert, congregation together, tabernacles, atonement, all that together in this month. Who says that he will not allow things to happen at trumpets? Who says something might not happen at tabernacles? When you're already congregated together with everybody you love.
And guess what? When the Most High did certain things, it was on the holy days.
Holy days.
The day when the Holy Spirit came, what day was on?
Pentecost.
They was already there.
Already together.
You see why he said, remember and keep it holy? You stay with the Most High. You never know. He could come back on the holy day. He could come back while you're doing tabernacles. Mm-hmm. You don't know. But if you already in the right place at the right time, you good. That makes sense? Yeah.
And it's ironic when we think about that, like, it's in Christ and the world celebrates his birthday different days. But December being the one, and of course that has nothing to do with Christ's birthday. But who said he ain't born in one of these holy days? Especially being the 7th month. Why wouldn't he? That would be amazing because it's happening at a time when, not saying we know the date.
It said it was tax season.
But it was tax season.
When you
got
taxes
clues.
on?
You got clues. Tax season, right? And under who? Caesar Augustus?
Right.
Which is the month right before what? September. August? September? That time frame? And it was the time when it wasn't too cold.
Exactly.
Right? So it wasn't winter time.
It was a harvest season. You're not going to collect in the middle of winter.
You don't collect in the middle of
harvest.
Yep. So there's things out there that point to like the Most High has order for all things. Not to put out what we think that we know what the Christ's birthday is. Do what we can because he said never to celebrate that day. That's not a day for celebration per se. But just know that he orders all things. So we don't have fear or anything. We're just going to stick to the word and stick to the holy days like he says. He's going to put us in the right place at the right time. Keep going.
For there shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, nor ever shall be. And except those days should be shortened, there should be no flesh be saved.
Except for those days be shortened, because I know how we looking. And it might just because we getting older. Saying days are just flying by. Because you can talk to children, they say the days are flying by. And children usually, summer takes forever. When we were in school, summer took forever. Being in school seemed forever. But as you got older, they're like, wow, a month, a week, a year, gone. We were just in Passover. That seemed like a long time ago, but that was just here.
Yep.
Flew by. We're already towards the end of the year already. But it's a reason. Those days that be shortened, they got all these clocks out here, but they can't tell you if days are short or not. The Most High's over time if he need to be. He can change the day to 1,000 years, 1,000 years to a day. He can do whatever he wants. But he knows he wants to save his people. So he said, what? What did he say in that verse again?
And except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved. But for the elect's sake, those days should be shortened.
For the elect's sake, his chosen, his plucked out. They will be shortened. So he's doing something. We may not understand it with our human minds, our fleshly minds, but he's doing something to make sure his people get saved. What else?
That if any man shall say unto you, lo, here is Christ, or there, believe it not.
They're already telling you they might actually pull out a false Christ in the flesh. They may actually come out and pull out a false Christ. They might say, keep going.
For there shall arise false Christs and false prophets, and shall show great signs and wonders, insomuch that if it be possible, they shall deceive the very elect.
So they said, if any man shall say, lo, here is Christ, and there, believe it not. So to put that in there, you would think ever since Christ came, and that was it, that there will be another person to try to be him. But they're telling you right now, they're going to try that. As that stupor, where we read in Baruch comes, you're going to have somebody out there. And it's happened. You got the David Koresh's of the world. All those folks like that. That'll say, well, I'll look like them, according to the pictures that they put out there. And, people follow me. So maybe that's me. Maybe I came back. Maybe I was Christ all along.
Yeah.
Believe it or not.
You got a brother walking around saying he the Holy Spirit too.
Oh, there you go.
So you got that stuff going on.
For there shall arise false Christs and false prophets, and shall show great signs. Because I know there's some folks out here, you got formalizing. I mean, we watch a bunch of stuff. You got folks that doing all types of crazy stuff as far as like magicians who are showing some crazy feats that if you got the right people around, those people going to worship that man or woman. I seen a brother in the middle of London going to what they call the Shard, interesting enough, and apparently was at the top of the building and was able to like levitate himself above the building.
Yeah.
But then there were spires right there, so you would think he wouldn't be able to go past if he had ropes there. He actually went above the spires and was in the middle of the air. Only thing that was there that I could see was a helicopter. But whatever pulls you that far up into the sky, demons, spirits, anything that can pull you that far in the sky, that fooled the whole city. They had to walk on water once too. Yep. There you go. There you go. Yeah. So you're going to see a bunch of false Christ, false prophets that shall show great signs and wonders, insomuch that if it were possible, they should deceive the very elect Israel. There's going to be somebody out here who's going to bring a bunch of our people astray. He might look just like us.
Yep.
Afro and all. And they'll make him a leader for us. And he'll be able to turn water into wine. He'll be able to fly. He'll be able to do all these things. He's already told you, believe it or not. There's a different way that Christ is going to be coming. And he's coming here for one thing, not tricks.
Yeah, we come for war.
So if he's here up here doing marvels for the people, then I'm saying, brother, whoever you are, you wasting your time because that's not what this say you should be doing. So if he's not sized up with the word, you definitely know what you're dealing with. And he will not be. He'll be wooing the people wherever he is. What else?
Verse 25, behold, I have told you before, wherefore if they shall say unto you, behold, he is in the desert.
Here it goes again. He has to double down. When he doubles down, he's telling you, look, I'm not playing. This is a real thing. With genetics and DNA splicing, they can take Caesar Borgia and make him again. And with all those pictures all over the world, they for sure can follow Caesar Borgia again. And institute him with all types of spirits, because it's just a shell for spirits to live in anyway. And he'll be doing all types of miracles, walking around, changing lives. But he's telling you again, lo, what?
Behold, he's in the desert, go not forth. Behold, he is in the secret chambers, believe it not.
But lo, he's in the secret chambers. So you got things underground. You got, these high seats that people have where special people are only allowed to go. You'll see him appear in the Vatican. Like, yeah, Christ appeared in the back room of the Pope in his secret chamber. Or in Peter's tomb, they call it. Mm-hmm. Or all these different places they have as relics and things they use as idols. So you're going to see him saying, he is in the desert, go not forth. Behold, he is in the chamber, believe it not. Keep going.
For as the lightning cometh out of the east, and shining even on the west, so shall also the Son of Man be. For wheresoever the carcass is.
So wheresoever the carcass is, right?
There will be the eagles be gathered together.
There will the eagles, or eagle-like people, or those who follow the eagle, be gathered together. So if you know that he's supposed to return, and you see how society went into the Middle East and just stayed there. Just stayed there. Have bases in all different places in the Middle East, be it in Saudi Arabia, be it in outside of Iran, Israel. They're just circling it. Spots. Knowing they're probably looking for the Ark of the Covenant and all those other things they're looking for. Just like they did in the 1940s when they went into all the tombs and took all the bodies of the kings.
Yep.
Just like they said they had Geronimo was a Northern Tribe brother as one of the skull and bones emblems. Mm-hmm. They have a skull of a Northern Tribe brother. You don't think they won't do that again? Wherever the carcass is, whatever body they bring out and say that's Christ, the eagles will be around it. All right, keep going.
Verse 29, immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. And
so immediately after the tribulation of those days when they've given you that false Christ and everybody that didn't think they were going to follow in that way started following that way because even the elect will be fooled and tricked. Then what? After tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven. You're going to see more things coming out the sky. More things of fire. And the powers of heavens shall be shaken. And what else?
And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds.
So he should gather together his elect with the trumpet. Already, we're doing the Feast of Trumpets today. We're gathering with the trumpet. He's doing the same in earth as it is in heaven. So gather his elect from the four winds, from what?
From one end of heaven to the other.
So wherever you are on the earth, at those days and times, I know some of us fret because we can't get places, or maybe the money not be there to maybe move elsewhere, whatever we want to do. If you trust in the Father, he's got you. It's not saying that he's saying if you can go somewhere to do it. But if you can't, you keep doing his work. Don't sweat it. You do your part. He'll do his.
The Israelites with great substance will leave Egypt?
Every time.
They wouldn't have willed this for nothing.
Never. They have everything they needed. They will always have everything they need.
Israel that make
Anytime we go to Tabernacles, we don't know what everybody else's has, per se, because we're all bringing our own houses, right? But by the time we get out there, if there's anybody lacking, they have everything they need.
Food was never a problem with the Tabernacles.
Shelter.
We will have tents out there. Transportation.
Never a problem.
Never a problem.
We will continue with that. So the signs in these Matthew 24 scriptures, they're clear. And we are in those days that Christ spoke of. And that gathering elect, which shall undergo a great change. We're going to Psalms 81. That gathering of the elect will undergo great change. We're getting prepared. Again, trumpets, feasting together, learning how to be around each other. Because, again, our people don't know how to be around each other. So Shabbat's really not enough, but that's why these holy days he needs to have many times where Israel gathered, because if Israel had it their way, they would never talk to each other. If he didn't command you to come together, it's like a father that got to tell you everything just because he know you hard-headed and you won't do it if I don't tell you. Holy convocation, because if I don't tell you, you won't do it. Right? Come together as a people, because if I don't tell you, you won't do it. You'll say, I'm going to do it in my own house. And celebrate the way I feel it should be done. That's our people throughout history. Stubborn and stiff-necked. Don't want order. We're all a slave to this. Yep. Be it if you just came to the church or you were a deacon or elder. We all got a job to do. We're all been placed here for a reason. But we're about to undergo some great change. Knowing that these days and time, it's not by any chance that for some reason we're doing tabernacles together this year. Close together. Figuring out who each other are. Hey, brother, I see you at Shabbat. Sister, I see you at Shabbat. Let's see who you are in 8 days.
Yep.
When it's been raining a little bit.
Uh-huh.
When the bugs have been biting. That's it, yeah, exactly. Can't wear the nicest clothes because we outside. Let's see what we are then, right? But we're going to start to learn how to be around each other. This feast, then atonement, like you said, fasting as one together for our sins, and then tabernacles, being together. Again, when the world, we don't necessarily do that ourselves. We can't, again, we say all the time, a lot of us won't even live in the same house. We don't care how broke we got to be. If we got to be around brother, sister, mom, and dad, together. Because we just don't operate like that. And I'm talking about Southern tribe. They mostly got an issue because Northern tribe
got no problem.
They'll put 30 of them in one house and be fine.
Yeah, they ain't got no problem with that. They'll live together.
They don't have no problem with that. Gentiles, they don't have no problem with that. Folks from other nations, they'll come over here and let somebody they don't even know stay here just because they know how hard it was to come to America. Let them stay, build them up, get them find them jobs, let them work, pay off their whatever, and set them on their way. And then they surpassed you because you sitting there fighting each other instead of working together. Again, Most High going to sift all that out anyway. If there's people that don't want to work together, you just won't be here. It's going to be by force, too. It ain't going to be nothing we did. You're going to take yourself out. So now is the time to start working together. It really is. Like it or not, we got to set these differences aside. We got one common goal, serving the Most High with all our hearts, soul, and minds. And love our neighbors
As ourselves.
As ourselves.
Whole duty of man.
Whole duty of man. We're in Psalms 81.
We in Psalms 81. We're going to start at verse 1. Sing aloud unto a higher our strength. Make a joyful noise unto the God of Jacob. Take a psalm and bring hither the timbrel, the pleasant harp with the psalm tree. Blow up the trumpet in the new moon.
Blow up the trumpet in the new moon. So we're at the beginning of a month, even though this is not the front of September. We're dealing with the holy days, which count the days. And again, for those who weren't here for some of those holy days lessons or just the days of counting, we'll do those later. But just to know, this is the beginning of a 30-day cycle. So just like the months have 30 days and some have 31 days, the years do the same as far as the Most High goes. So beginning of each season, you have 2 30s and a 31, which equals up to 91 days. If you put that as a whole, you get 364, and as you do that 4 times repeated, which gives you the actual year. And because they've changed what nighttime and daytime is, you're thinking that they actually have an extra day, and they actually do not. They've hidden the day with time. They're still using 364 days. They can't get away from that, because if that's the case, all the days would be outside of the whack, and you would have winter and summer and winter after 30 years or so. So what they've done is they've messed with times and laws. 12 midnight is a new day. No, when the sun goes down is a new day. And if you use that count using your own calendar, even if you have 365 days there, you'll still find 364. Because I've counted myself without leap years. And all they're doing with leap years is correcting that 12 o'clock midnight time frame.
That's what they're doing.
That's all they're doing. And they have to do that every 4 years to get that back in whack so they can be right. That's all they've done. They've hid what time was. They made what number 1 is, basically say 1.5. That's all they've done. But nothing changed. They just changed the name of what things were or what it really meant. But that stuff can't go away. So blow a trumpet in the new moon, which means month. Keep going.
And the time appointed on our solemn feast day. For this was a statute for Israel and a law for a high of the Most High.
So as we blew our horn in the middle to start the service, and we'll blow it before we eat. Right? Keep going.
This he ordained in Joseph for a testimony when he went out through the land of Egypt, where I heard a language that I understood not. And I removed his shoulder from the burden. His hands were delivered from the pots.
So the trumpet is also a sign of great joy and feasting to represent our deliverance. Just like we were delivered from servitude in Egypt, we are once again beginning to be delivered from our mental and physical slavery right now. We're going to 1 Corinthians 15. This is getting us back to what we had. Because if you're looking at the times of Egypt with Moses, you would think that the 10 Commandments and all those things started then, but that's not the case. They were just remembering what they lost. This started with Noah, and it started with Adam and Eve. They had these things already.
Exactly.
Just our people fell away so far, they had to bring them, and the Most High had to do it drastically, bring laws and commandments, take them in the wilderness, secluded, and operate with them directly. Because he couldn't put them in Egypt and deal with them directly because they wouldn't listen. They would be distracted. Had to pull them out. Then sift out the rebellious ones. Let you wander in the wilderness for 40 years, which is a completion time for him. Figure out who he really wants to work with, kill everybody else off or them dying off, and then operate with them, those chosen few, and say, this is what we're going to deal with. And he's going to do that again. So we're going to 1 Corinthians 15.
We have 1 Corinthians 15, verse 50.
It's tough. Coming out of America, being born here for one. Being born here, it's going to be tough changing a lot of those ways. It really is. That's going to be the tough sled that you're going to be pushing. Breaking out of that mindset. As much as mindset you've already broken out of already, there's way more discipline to be had. Because like we're so used to not having leaders, right? We can't barely go into work on time. Just because it's just enough to rebel against work. Or like when somebody teaches you a job, and this is funny as I know what, when somebody teaches you a job at your job and they will have a manual of how to do it, and usually one of our people will say, well, this is how I do it. And it's usually the laziest way to not get fired, right? This is where we got to start learning discipline. Like, look, if the Most High said this is how I want it done, it's going to be done that way. Can't be no more hurt feelings. Can't be no soft skin. We ain't gonna have that kind of time. That could tell. Like, being disobedient could cost somebody their lives.
Yep.
A friend of yours, somebody that you loved, can cost their lives. Saying that, oh, we have to do this right now, but why? Could be the end of you. So it's time for that when we got this grace and mercy right now to say, okay, but why? But there's going to be a time when, but why is going to have you with the door closed. There's going to be no buts. The husbandman's going to come with the brides that got the oil, and the door going to be shut, and you're not going to have no way in. So this 7th month, important. As we do tabernacles and we do the feast, we're going to have ordinances going down. They got to be followed. Because if they're not, it's not going to be on us. Yeah, we can do but so much. We love you as brothers. But he sees it. If you can't follow the ones I put before you, how can you follow me? I'm not even around you. I'm not even in front of you. So now is the time of discipline. The time of order. Because we've gotten a lot of mercy or we wouldn't be here. Mm-hmm. We've gotten a lot of grace or we wouldn't be standing here. First Corinthians.
All right, we're 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 50. Now this I say, brethren, that flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom of the Most High.
Now this I say, brethren, flesh and blood, so all these feelings and emotions that we have, that Galatians talks about, that keeps you out of the kingdom, for sure will keep you out of the kingdom. It says, now this I say, brethren, the flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom of the Most High. Neither what else?
Neither do corruption inherit incorruption.
So our fleshly bodies are corrupted. So again, as trumpets is sounding and it's letting you know, alert, 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 warning, 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 time of joy, but heads up. We can't be dealing in our flesh anymore. We got to be in the spirit as much as we can. Yeah, the flesh is going to tug you there because you live here. You're going to still deal with that from time to time, but you want those times to be far in between. Because that mercy we've gotten, running real thin. That patience that was that break that the world was giving us, the Most High held back basically, that's starting to go away. What else?
Behold, I show you a mystery.
Behold, I show you a mystery.
We should not all sleep, but we should all be changed. Mm-hmm. In a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trump, for the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be erased incorruptible, and we shall be changed. So in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trump,
they put Trump in here. That's amazing. I mean, we all know it was there, but still, the times we're in, at the last trump, for the trumpet shall sound and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed. Again, this body is just a testing ground. And if you can handle it here in this body, you for sure can inherit more and greater things. Let's go to Joel 2 and 15. Joel 2 and 15. Joel.
Anybody there?
Let me read this 1 second. I'm sorry. Before, hold that. I'm going to read something. If you can read it, if you want to read it, we can read it here too.
Okay.
Let's read the rest of the Apocalypse of Baruch, 28 through 30. Because raising the incorruptible, spoken about here. Also with the Messiah, the Savior.
Read the Apocalypse of Baruch, verse 28, chapter 28. It started verse 1.
And this was after, again, when he was telling you about all the days and times and all the things to come. We already read that earlier, the rapine, right? seize your property, famine, spirits, all that, right? After that, there was more conversations that Baruch was given. Let's go.
Nevertheless, whosoever understands shall then be wise.
So nevertheless, who shall understand these times that we're in shall be wise. So understanding the trumpets, understanding why we do Feast of Trumpets, understanding what this month's about, understanding the times that's around you, being able to know what's going on around you, wise. Keep going.
For the measure and reckoning of that time are 2 parts, a week and 7 weeks. And I answered and said, it is good for a man to come and behold, but it's better that he should not come lest he fall. But I will say this also, will he would in the corruptible despise those days which are corruptible?
And what he's saying is it's best that you know little or nothing at all. Then get all this information and knowledge, which I know a lot of us chase a lot of knowledge. But you don't want to end up like Solomon.
I got a precept.
You don't want to end up like a lot of these other brothers who are out here teaching with all this knowledge. But that knowledge is going to end up taking them in the snare. You got a precept, brother?
On that, just
got
that
it.
I just said.
Go for it.
Yeah, I go to Sirach,
yep.
19 and 24.
Mm-hmm.
Just confirm what we just read right here. Just real quick. It says that he that has a small understanding and fear the Most High is better than one that has much wisdom and transgress the law of the Most High.
Read that again.
He that have a small understanding and fear of the Most High is better than one that have much wisdom and transgress the law of the Most High.
So just to know a little bit, just to know the basics of this word, you're better off than a person who knows scriptures left and right. Because if you want to hold yourself to that regard, and this is where it comes importance when people teach and want to teach, the responsibility that's laid on your shoulders is that you're going to be held to a higher standard. And it's not by men, by the Most High. So you're going to get judged by what you know. He winks at ignorance. He's not winking at after you know the truth. There's no more sacrifice for sins. So if you have an office he's given you, you work in that. If there's an office that you're not supposed to be in, praise the Most High you aren't. Because you might be pulling yourself out of the kingdom by trying to search things that aren't for you. So it's saying that here, better to know a little bit than know a whole lot.
Name any prophet that was in the Bible say, pick me, I will be a leader. None of them. Nobody chose to be a leader. Everybody ran from it, but the Most High said, no, you got to do it.
Got to do it.
You got to do it. If we didn't choose to do this up here, it was up to us. We'd be sitting out there with y'all. But we were chosen to do this. So
let's keep going.
All right, so we verse back to Apocalypse of Baruch.
Yep.
And we at
start 3.
Started 3.
Yep.
And I answered and said, it is good for man to come and behold, but it's better that he should not come lest he fall.
Yep.
But I will say this also: will he who is incorruptible despise those days which are corruptible?
Just read it. It's who he what? Read it again.
Who will he who is incorruptible?
If he who is incorruptible, right? Those who are righteous, right? Keep going.
Despise those things which are corruptible.
Keep going.
And whatever befalls in the case of those things which are corruptible, so that he might look only to those which are not corruptible. But if, O Lord, those things shall surely come to pass, which you have foretold to me.
Talking about all those 12 parts, right? For the last days and end times. If all those things that come to pass that you already told me. Keep going.
So do you show this also to me if indeed I have found grace in your sight?
He says, do you show this to me because you know that I can handle this versus not? So he's saying, look, where's my place in this? Because you obviously showing me this. You must feel I can handle it. Because you just said, why would we put more things on somebody so they can fall? So he's questioning his ability to have that information. Am I worthy of it? Am I worthy of what you're giving me? That's a question that a lot of leaders ask of themselves. Keep going.
Is it in one place or in one of those parts of the earth that those days are come to pass?
And he says, and he's talking about these days, time, these things for the trumpets. Is this going to be in one place? So is it just going to be in America? Is it going to be in South America? Is it going to be in Europe? Is it just going to be in one place? What does it say?
Is it in one place or one of those parts of the earth that those days are come to pass, or will the whole earth experience them?
All right, that's a question. Keep going.
And he answered and said unto me, whatever will befall the whole earth.
Will do what?
Whatever will befall the whole earth.
The whole earth will befall into these times. So we can't outrun this one. This is going to be an internal thing. Where's your heart? Because you can't outrun it. All right, keep going.
Therefore, all who live will experience them. For at that time, I will protect only those who are found in those self-same days in this land.
He will only do what? Protect who?
I will protect only those who are found in those self-same days in this land.
He is plucking his own out. So if you're chosen, be it you in a terrible situation, but you're chosen, he got you. He's going to go after his, regardless where they are. They can be in jail right now. They could be locked away in a foreign country. They could be in a terrible situation where the whole family's in disarray, and it's just one brother sitting in the room while everybody's cursing and playing loud music on Saturday or Shabbat while he's sitting there trying to read his Bible. He's going to go get his elect, they call him. Keep going.
And it should come to pass when all is accomplished that was to come to pass in those parts, that the Messiah shall then begin to be revealed.
Christ.
And Behemoth shall be revealed from this place, and Leviathan shall ascend from the sea.
There's Behemoth and Leviathan that you read about in the scriptures. You read about in Enoch, right? Keep going.
Those two great monsters which I created on the fifth day of creation.
Created on the fifth day of creation. Hold that real quick. I'm going to go to Jubilees. 2:11.
2:11, right, yeah.
If you ever never read Jubilees before, you can read it. It's pretty good. It's like Genesis, but a little bit more detailed. Like Genesis, just a little bit more detailed.
They call it a little Genesis.
Call it a little Genesis. You're right. But it talks about the fifth day. Some things happened that day.
So you want to get a detailed account of what happened on the day of creation. Read Jubilees 2.
Yep.
But read Jubilees chapter 2 verse 11.
Yep.
And on the fifth day he created great monsters.
And on the fifth day he created great monsters in what?
In the depths of the waters.
In the depths of the waters.
For these were the first days of flesh that they were created by his hands. And the fish and everything that move in the waters, everything that flies, and the birds and all their kind.
So he did the great monsters on this day. And it sounds like a fantastic story, but let me tell you, there's some fantastic stories out there that's in official documents out there that say there's something out there. There are things out there. They have no idea what they are. Was just watching a story. They said they had I know a lot of folks watch Shark Week. Especially as boys, we used to be little, we used to watch Shark Week. We love that kind of stuff, right? Because it's animals eating animals, and sharks are cool because they attack things. But there's a story out there where they tagged a 9-foot great white shark. And this shark, they would tag it. They know where the depths it goes to. They know what the temperature of the water is. They also know how the temperature of the animal is. But apparently there's a story out there where a 9-foot great white shark, apparently there was a great temperature change in cold water all at once. And what the signal that gave off, it said whatever it was swallowed the great white. Whole. Wasn't a bite. Whole. Now, 9 foot is taller than all of us. It's a pretty good shark, pretty big shark. And you've seen sharks where you've seen 9-foot sharks or 10-feet sharks. Swallowed it whole, and apparently whatever it did, it either spat out or in its excrement shot up the device and it came back up. But when they tracked it down, they realized this was in like 5,000 to 6,000, 7,000 feet of water where like nothing that big should even be. Like the only things that go down there far are like whales and big whales. And it's whales that don't necessarily eat sharks. I guess they would eat squid. So I'm not sure if how many biologists or people out here who know biology, but like sperm whales, they go in deep depths and go get squid. Some deep like Mariana's Trench deep, but maybe not that deep, but pretty deep. But the places they were, they said this is where sperm whales probably wouldn't even be at either. So what was that big? Not saying it was, what we're talking about here. Just saying there's a lot of things out there that people haven't found. There's also just one more additional story on top of that. There was apparently it got captured by I think the I think it was like the Atlantic Atmospheric Corporation. Basically, they have buoys all out in the water, and they kind of track things. And they have like sound buoys that drop into the oceans. And apparently, they had heard this one sound that kind of sounded like a whale, but it sounded something like no other whale species ever. And whatever it was, the sound of it, by the amount of sound Vine was able to push out in the water, and the sound it was able to produce, they said it would have been the biggest animal on Earth, bigger than a blue whale, in the middle of the ocean. They don't know what it is. It's just a sound that they heard, and they knew that the instruments were operating accurately. They said whatever it is undiscovered, one. And two, it's bigger than anything in the world, including a blue whale, which goes over 100 feet, by the way. So there's something bigger than that out there. So it's the word. Keep going.
And behemoth shall be revealed from this place, and Leviathan shall ascend from the sea.
So Leviathan shall come from the seas. That's just on the seas. Where the behemoth is, undiscovered still. The Most High can shield whatever he wants. There could be something right next to it. You want to see it if he doesn't want you to see it. He has things ready for the veil. Keep going.
Those two great monsters which I created on the fifth day of creation, and shall have kept it until that time. And then they shall be for food for all they are left.
He kept it from the day of creation, the fifth day of creation, till this time. They're not just brand new monsters. These things have been existing and waiting for us. And be food. So while we're looking at like, all right, well, it's Godzilla, we can't eat lizards. Who said it was that? Did it actually say what it was? Because he's not going to go against his own word on what it is. If it's got fins and scales, each cud, why can't it be just a giant deer? Why can't Leviathan be just a giant deer? You don't know. But what he's going to say is clean. And it's for you. Because I know all the rest of the world is going to be destroyed. They're going to try to destroy all the food. Monsanto. They're going to try to block out the sun, chemtrails. They're going to try to do a whole bunch of things. But they said, look, I'm going to prepare for my people.
Yep. And this part, it's going to talk about the next part right
Keep
here.
going.
The earth also shall yield its fruits 10,000-fold on each.
And why I wanted to pop this up because I wanted you to show that even though trumpets happen, there's blessings behind it. So you're going to get Leviathan to help. We're going to get Behemoth for help, for food. But also, if you don't feel like eating meat, what you got? Read it again.
The earth also should yield its fruits 10,000 and on each.
That sounds very familiar.
On each. Yep.
This sounds just like what you would read out of some of the actual biblical books in regards of the kingdom and replenishing the earth. So what else? What else again?
Vines, there should be 1,000 branches.
Vines shall be 1,000 branches.
And each branch should produce 1,000 clusters.
And each, what? Read it again.
And each branch should produce 1,000 clusters.
Each branch shall produce 1,000 clusters. You know how people like to eat.
Yeah.
You know how people like to make wine. He's preparing for that.
It's going to talk about that too.
Keep going.
And each cluster produced 1,000 grapes, and each grape produced a core of wine.
Each grape. One grape. Everyone has their own bottle. Off of one grape. And this is already amongst 10,000s of thousands of grapes. So what we're not going to be is not taken care of. He's for sure got us in these days of trumpets and days of destruction to come ahead. Sounds like fantasy, doesn't it? It's not. Again, that's what we say, this trust thing amongst ourselves, trusting amongst the Most High. We have to do it. This is what we'll end up seeing. We're going to keep going, brother. I'm sorry.
And those who have hungered shall rejoice. Moreover, also, they shall behold marvels every day.
So those who what?
For those who have hungered.
For those who have hungered. Keep going.
Shall rejoice.
Shall rejoice. Because whatever you had to go through during those days and times, you might have a day of atonement. You might have a week of atonement. But in the end, you got grapes that can make a quart of wine. You got Behemoth and the Leviathan that's going to feed you. You have miracles happen on the daily. The things you read about all this time and never were able to experience for yourselves. And as a child, I would ask my parents, like, why don't those things happen anymore? Like, why don't I see the Most High on the mountains? And why don't Christ walk with us anymore? Questions, just unlearned questions as a child. I'm talking about 5, 6, 7 years old. I would ask my mom and dad, And they really couldn't give me the answer to. But he never said those things weren't going to happen again. It's time of sifting time. This is where faith comes involved. Because if you saw things all the time, you don't need faith. You see it. But once you don't see it, then you got to rely on what? True faith and trust. And faith is just trust. Do you trust me? He's asking. I'm giving you the instruction of what's going to happen. Do you trust me, truly? Keep going.
For wind shall go forth from before me to bring every morning the fragrance of aromatic fruits.
Aromatic fruits. So you want the smell of fruits all the time in the air? Think about it. That your day, just like a spring day when things are growing and you smell that smell of like life. That's what you got on a daily to wake up to. What else?
And at the close of the day, clouds distilling the dew of health.
Did he say rain? He said clouds bestowing the dew. There's going to be moisture everywhere. Everything's going to get fed from the plants to the animals to the people. Keep going.
And it shall come to pass at the self-same time that the treasury of manna shall again descend.
Where have you heard that again? The treasury of manna. So he has manna ready on high waiting, which is what called in the scriptures called what? Angel's food.
Mm-hmm.
Treasury of manna. What?
Again descend from on high. And they will eat of it in those years because they are they who have come to the consummation of time.
Because they did what? Endured until the end. Keep going.
And it shall come to pass after these things.
And it shall come to pass after all these glorious things that we'll have, even after all that destruction and all that heartache and pain that we had went through, to make it to those times. What?
When the time of the event of the Messiah is fulfilled, that he shall return in glory.
He shall return in glory. Come on. See what we got to look forward to? By following his commandments. By trusting him and also trusting the people of the Most High he's put before us. By trusting the Most High, right? We're going to continue in Joel, right? Joel 2.
So we in Joel chapter 2, verse 15.
Joel told you to hold it. Just wanted to show you. There's some plentiful times in front of us. We just got to do our part first. And we can get there. Keep going. Joel 2 and 15.
Blow the trumpet in Zion. Sanctify a fast. Call a solemn assembly. Gather the people. Sanctify the congregation.
So blow the trumpet in Zion. Sanctify a fast. We got atonement coming. Call a solemn assembly. Gather the people. That's what the trumpets were for. Keep going.
Sanctify the congregation.
Sanctify the congregation.
Assemble the elders.
Mm-hmm.
Gather the children.
Yep.
And those that suck the breast.
Uh-huh.
Let the bridegroom go forth of his chamber, and the bride out of her closet.
Mm-hmm.
Let the priests the ministers of the Lord weep between the porch and the altar, and let them say, Spare thy people, O Lord, and give not thy heritage to reproach, that the heathen shall rule over them. Wherefore should they say among the people, Where is their power?
Wherefore they shall say among the people, Where is their power? Where is their God? Because we're going to continue to get beat up and downtrodden for a little while. And they're going to ask, well, if you're the children of Israel, where is the person who's supposed to be over you? And why doesn't he protect you? And that's going to pull some of our people away in those days. You know what? They're right. Why didn't he come back at it? Look how bad it is. When he's trying patience. He's trying to see if you'll still have joy in these times. Knowing that you still have blessings to come. Because a lot of people will just read the Bible, just read the bad stuff, and be stuck in that. But there's a lot of the blessings in there, too, to look forward to. And he's trying to see where you are. Are you going to just focus on all the things that happened to you? Or are you saying, you know what, all this experience and all this pain I'm getting is actually just making me stronger so I can be with my Father in heaven. And he can be with me. And I'll have no more worldly ties. Only spiritual. Keep going.
Then will the Lord be jealous for his land and pity his people, Yea, the Lord will answer and say to his people, Behold, I will send you corn and wine and oil, and ye shall be satisfied therewith.
Same thing we kind of read, right? He's going to bring substance. Keep going.
And I will no more make you a reproach among the heathen, but I will remove far off from you the Lord of army, and will drive him into the land barren and desolate, with his face towards the east sea, and his hinder part towards the uttermost sea, and his stink shall come up, and his ill savior shall come up, because he had done great things.
All right, keep going.
Fear not, O land, be glad and rejoice, for the Lord will do great things.
All right.
Be not afraid, you beasts of the field, for the pastures of the wilderness do spring, for the tree beareth her fruit, the fig tree and the vine do yield their strength. Be glad then, ye children of Zion, and rejoice in the Lord your power, for he hath given you the former rain moderately, and will cause to come down for you the rain, the former rain, and the latter rain in the first month. And the floor shall be full of wheat, and the fat shall be overflow with wine and oil.
And the floor shall be full of wheat, and fat shall overflow with wine and oil. All right, keep going.
And I will restore to you the years that the locusts had eaten.
So all those things that people are going to lament of losing, he said, I'm going to give it to you. And probably more than you already had. So don't cry over those things. Keep going. I will restore to you the years that the locusts have eaten. And what?
The canker worm. And the caterpillar and the palmer worm.
These are all worms or animals that farmers loathe because they take crops away. They come in droves. There's a bunch of them. They'll eat all the crops, and the farmer's left with less than what he had. A lot less. All right? Especially locusts. They come in like swarms. All right, keep going.
My great army which I sent among you, and ye shall eat in plenty and be satisfied, and praise the name of the Lord your power, that hath dwelt wonderfully with you, and my people shall never be ashamed.
Eat in plenty and be satisfied, and praise the name of the Most High, your power, that hath dealt wondrously with you, and my people never shall be ashamed. Keep going.
And you shall know that I am in the midst of Israel.
And ye shall know that I am in the midst of Israel.
And I am the Lord your power, and none else.
And none else. Time to stop following other gods, even with our actions. We say it with our mouths, right? But with our actions, we still follow other gods in some fashion. None else, he says. Discipline time. Completely him. Keep going.
And my people shall never be ashamed.
So as we go into this Feast of Trumpets, memorial blowing of trumpets, knowing that this horn and just that sound represents a coming together of our people in the first of the month, in the beginning of fall, in the times when the world is actually starting to go towards death. When you have winter and fall and leaves are dying off the trees, and all these different things happening in the world, wild things happening in the world. We got to know that it's time to come together as a people, know who we are, operate as such, and praise the Most High evermore. Thank you for coming today, and thank you for being part of the Feast of Trumpets. Bless you all. Shalom.